Hi, Vanessa Golightly here with Kate, looking to buy her first home, and Kate's got a few questions for me in regards to jargon. There's obviously a lot of terminology and a lot of real estate sort of meanings and terms associated with it that can be quite confusing. So Kate, ask away. Anything in specific?
Please, if you could explain to me what the limb is.
Limb, okay. So most offers will be subject to your solicitor ordering and checking the limb for the property. Some agents will provide that as part of the sale. So if it's pre-available, great. If not, make sure your offer is subject to the limb. In a nutshell, the limb provides council-related information to the property, so consents. It will show consents for anything like added on, for example, the garage. The consents for the property itself will depend on the age of the property. So if it's like 1920s, it probably won't have a building consent, but if it's like 1980s and 1990s, for example, it will. It covers other things like drainage. I recently had a limb that identified another apartment in the block had a PLAB in it. It was cleaned, so it said in there that it had been done, but it's just anything sort of note that's been run through the council, gone through the council files, but it can be quite an important document. It also notes activity and consents requested for properties surrounding. So say if you bought something in the CBD, it might be quite interesting to check that to see what's happening around, if there's been any developments signed off, any of the neighbours have asked to build higher structures and approval for things like that. Right. So it's a whole lot of stuff that you think, oh, do I really need to know that? But most limbs are fine. It's the ones where there might be one or two things in that your lawyer notices, and it's well worth the $267 from the council and paying your lawyer to check that. So if it's not supplied, definitely make your offer subject to that.
Okay. Yeah. Cool, thank you. And what about the title?
Title. Okay, so the title is usually a 2 to 3 page document, so it's not huge, but that actually shows what it is you're buying, so the ownership of the property. So the outline of what you're buying and the site plan, and it will show, I think you've got some other questions about covenants and easements. Yeah. These things are recorded on the title, not the limb. So covenants, for example, are restrictions of what you can and can't do with the land. For example, a lot of new subdivisions, obviously, when you're building or buying a property, they'll have attached covenants saying you can't paint your house pink, for example, or have a iron fence at the front, and things like that. So they all vary, but again, if you put your offer in subject to solicitor's approval of title, which I'd always recommend because it is a legal document which most normal people wouldn't understand how to read or know what to look for. So leave it to your lawyer. And easements, for example, shared driveways, drainage easements are ones too. You may not be able to see it, but you may have other properties' drainage running through your property. If you're thinking, I'll build a garage on the front, it's just something to get your lawyer to check. And it also has other things, legal things, like say if it's a couple going through a divorce, someone may put a caveat on the property saying if it's sold they have an entitlement to the funds, and just little tricky things like that. So title covers ownership, a limb covers council and property related and surrounding area information.
Cool. All right.
Cool.
Thank you. My next questions are all about cross lease, freehold, and unit title. What do these mean?
Okay. Again, hey, I'm not a lawyer, but I obviously need to have a legal and technical knowledge in regards to land tenure. So I'll explain it in the agent's way, and you and anyone else is welcome to obviously get their lawyer to give them the technical legal meanings. But freehold is the purest form of title, so that's when you own the land and there's no other shared properties with it or anything like that. So freehold's just the basic 607 square metres of land.
It's yours.
Yeah, it's yours. Yeah, essentially, all the banks.
True.
So cross lease is a way that historically they did a lot of subdivision, and so instead of when they made one section into two, instead of doing it as a unit title or freeholding each one, they did it as a cross lease. I think it was a bit more of an affordable way of doing it.
Okay.
Again, cross lease is one. If you're buying a cross lease property, definitely get your lawyer to check the title because there's a few more things associated with owning a cross lease property. For example, how does the shared driveway situation work? Right. If you buy a cross lease property and you have intentions of doing any extensions or building garages on and things like that, you need to get the permission of the other people in the cross lease.
Right.
Yeah, so just be wary of that. It's nothing. I mean, most of the typical 1960s, 70s Summer Hill stone units and all those ones in blocks, they're all cross lease. So you just have to double check, what it means. It's not necessarily a negative thing. I mean, I personally own a cross lease property. We've got a shared driveway, so technically we have shared responsibilities in maintaining the driveway, but we've got old people that live down the back from us, so we're quite happy to pay for the driveway maintenance. It's fine. But yeah, again, just check the title. Also, if you're buying a cross lease property and it has an added on conservatory, how a lot of them have got front porches, they need to be reflected on the title, and if they're not, it's technically called a defective title, which the bank might be a bit funny about as well. So when you are looking at buying a cross lease, what you can do is actually probably send the title to your lawyer before you put an offer in, if you can, or flick it to me and I can have a quick look. Just check that the outline of the property on the title matches the Google Earth view. So if you can see there's another structure or something sticking out that's not on the title, that's one of the main giveaways as well. So again, I'm not a lawyer, but it's just sometimes if you think there looks like it's a bit of an add-on here and it's a cross lease, I might talk to my lawyer before I put an offer in, or definitely make my offer subject to solicitor's approval of title. So that's cross lease. So it's and also to be wary. Some people think when it's cross lease, the legal description says locked whatever with a half share in 800 square metres, for example. Half share does not mean you get exactly half of that section. It just means half is in one of two. Right. So there is no land area for a cross lease. So again, I own a cross lease. We're a half share of just over 1,000 square metres. I don't actually know technically how much of that we own. I'd have to get it surveyed if I really wanted to know. So I get a lot of questions at open homes going, what's the land area? If it's cross lease, there is no land area. It's a half share, which doesn't mean half. So just be wary of that as well.
Okay.
Cool.
And so would that be my cost to get it surveyed if I was interested in a property?
Yeah, but there really wouldn't be any need to know exactly how much of that land that you owned, because unless you're planning on approaching the other person in the cross lease and seeing if they would be interested in freeholding it, which is quite an expensive process, and you have to have separate drainage and all the rest of it as well. So getting a survey done would probably be only something if you were thinking, I want to buy a cross lease with the intention of free. No, leave that to the developers. It's fine. And then the third one that you asked about is unit title or body corporate sort of situation. So you aren't allowed to cross lease anymore. It's the same restrictions as freeholding or unit title subdivisions. And how that works, say if you buy a row property or an apartment property, it will be most likely now under a unit title if it's a modern build, and they'll have a body corporate. It's either managed by a body corporate company or managed by the complex, and they'll have a secretary and the board will be the owners.
And that's for the shared.
Yeah, so usually they have a shared maintenance fund. The building is insured under one insurance company, so it's like a group insurance. Quite a lot of people have this thing about, it's quite funny, they go, body corporate, I don't want to pay body corporate fees, I'm not interested. And I actually think it's a really good thing, especially post-earthquakes. If you're going to buy something that's in a complex, why not actually know that it's going to be managed properly, future maintenance is going to be planned for, and someone's taking care of the maintenance for that property, and also the whole thing's going to be shared. So even though some body corporate fees are up to, say, $5,000, depending on the circumstances, by the time you add up what it's going to cost you to maintain a property, pay your insurance and all the rest, it can be quite nice to know.
It's a fallout from not one member not being a part of that.
For a cross lease example, if you buy one, it's a row of 6, it's sort of every man for their own. If you buy one of 6 and it's a unit title, then at least there's some sort of a mechanism in place to maintain the integrity of all the properties. So
definitely.
That makes sense.
It does. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
That's all right. Cool. Again, everyone feel free to ask their lawyers. This is just I'm explaining it in the simplest way that I can.
Well, that all makes sense. So that's awesome.
Cool.
Thank you.